From the dissent issue, I just want to make a confession, and this is I'm serious about this. I was a serial abuser of umpires for a long time, and then it was a pathetic weakness on my behalf. It really was. It was to cover up mistakes that I'd made, and I would abuse an umpire, and so I just want to put that on the record. I was one of the worst until I learnt. So let's carry on.
Thank you, Garry.
I'll abuse you in a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, I might get 5 minutes respite here. Let's go.
The difference between abuse and dissent is critical here. Abuse, I think everyone understands, and the players were... You cannot swear at an umpire. That's abuse. We're in the dissent age of 2022.
Yeah, so we arrive at that place and there's a lot going on with umpiring and numbers at community level and an array of behaviours that the AFL, I think, more broadly weren't comfortable with seeing. And so from the top down, it wasn't an umpire-driven request. The demonstrative stuff, the ridicule, the point at the scoreboard, the mocking, I think that sort of wasn't a look that the game was wrapped with.
Demeaning and belittling.
Yeah, and so I just jotted down some bits and pieces to give people an idea at home. What are the sorts of behaviours that the umpires would pay a 50 or a free kick for dissent versus the ones that where they won't pay a free kick for dissent. And I think that's really important to understand. What are the times where they won't pay? Yeah. So the times that they won't pay are things like when it's miles behind play. So it might be a shot on goal up the other end, Garry, and you and I down the other end.
Yeah.
You see the replay and you point up at it and you're like, Ray, that can't be a free.
But that's you engaging in a conversation off the ball.
Where no one's looking, it's not being ridiculed at home. And then you've got, if they regulate their behaviour, so they're about to go, they start up, but they grab themselves. You go, no, that's cool. It's an emotive game. You've articulated that yourself. And then the other thing that's really important, it can't be an accumulation of things. It either meets the threshold in that incident or it doesn't. You can't go, this guy's been driving me mad all day, bang, off we go. That's no good. And then the last one is really important, appealing for a free kick. So ball gets kicked, we think insufficient intent, we think deliberate rush behind, and they turn around and appeal for a free kick. You're not awarding a free kick for dissent in those circumstances. No. So they're the times that it doesn't count. And the examples that we've rolled through and we've seen this week so far are examples where, from 2022, Gerard, we come to Christmas in July in 2025 and it's elf on the shelf stuff and we dust it off and now we roll it out, which is obviously the thing that causes people grief.
And that is the frustration of what we've been involved in. So where does it sit right now? What is dissent and what's not? We ask the players. So if Carl Warner this week says, oh, come on, I didn't really hit him or I didn't really get him high like this, do we expect as a commentariat and a supporter to go, oh, well, that's just 50, you've been told?
So we heard Greg Swan speak, and obviously his commentary was, if you point at the scoreboard of the replay, you'll incur a free kick against you for dissent. So that's what we need the umpires to deliver on across 9 games, all weekend,
so
every game.
Zero tolerance. That's not demonstrative. That's not belittling. It's not demeaning. But that's it. Zero tolerance.
The issue they've got with that one in particular, and Garry, for what it's worth, I'm aligned with you in these issues on this particular issue. The issue the AFL has with that is the pointing and the reference to the scoreboard. They hate it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Let me say this: if that's the rule, that's the rule. Yeah. Right. And it was back when you were still umpiring, when Brad Scott brought this in. Everyone knew, and there was outcry, but we said, no, for all the reasons you pointed out, they're losing umpires and it was filtering down. So, OK, we're zero tolerance, at least we know. Now, I'm not sure what to send. We showed you those examples last night. This one's paid, the other one, they're jumping up and running at the umpire. I'm
not going to give the umpires an out because I'm aligned with you. The two things I would say is this: it's not just about the umpiring, it's about the broader game itself. So dissent.
Yes. What are these? Are these free kicks or not?
So so that one there, absolutely it is. He goes at him, he's walking towards him, he's got his arms out and he's having a crack. See this one here? I want to talk, that's what I was going with the last comment. When you award a free kick or a mark, there's lots...
Before you do, this one.
Yeah, so this one should be paid. Arms out, approaching, getting in his face, disputing decision, that's cut and dry. If we go back to the Bolton one just quickly, so you pay for a kick, you're coming in, you go, where's the footy? That's the first thing you look for as an umpire. You're not looking at the fella on the mark who may or may not be aggrieved. You're not interested in that because you need to know whether to call play on or advantage or all those things. So the umpire also has to see it.
But your mate can see it.
Depends where they are too.
Oh, come on, there's 4 of them.
Oh, we'll get to that. Yeah. So that's the only thing that I want to say about that one there, is that it's not quite as obvious as you might think.
No, but you'd think so. One other.
But if you do see that and they're pointing at the replay, if that's what he's doing, they're meant to pay a 50.
OK, so just take us to the weekend. That's all I care about. I've got a call Friday night.
Yeah, so can I just say, would you have paid a 50-metre penalty against
Carl?
So this is the great thing. I don't think that's worth a 50-metre penalty, and I think the intention around what they're doing. If he goes up like that with a fierce point, he goes, "What about that?"
Yeah.
You're going, mate, back here. It was almost like he was like, "I'm not even bothering arguing with this," which is not dissent, is it? It's actually going, "I'm just going to get on with it." So I felt like that stood out as an aberration as opposed to the rule.
Yeah. So I feel like there 40 umpires.
Sorry,
Are there 40 umpires?
42. Yeah.
I feel like 38 of them would not have paid it, and 4 of them would have. And that's where I think the hard part is. I don't think that meets the dissent threshold.
No, but then we've had Greg Swan, God love him, who's come out and says, you know, you can't do it, don't do it, or you'll get a 50.
So it's like crossing the road and not looking, Gary. You hope they don't run into you, mate. But if you don't, you know what I mean? So you're responsible for your actions. Don't put yourself in a position where you can cough one up. Now, I'm with you. I'm not going to let you jump on me on this.
No,
I'm aligned with you on this.
But I'm feeling for the players. So
yeah.
He's going... Carl Warner can turn around and say, if that was Shea Bolton, or, you know, we could have got 3 or 4, 5, 6 others. He turned around... Stop the game and say, why? I've been watching footy. 6, 7, 8 you haven't paid.
We agree.
Today you're going to pay it. That's what the hard thing is.
Well, I agree with you, and I spoke to you earlier off air. You know, I made a phone call earlier in the year to the umpiring department. I said, has there been a shift here? And was adamant, no, we have not. And I said, well,
about
that's...
dissent?
Yeah, and the application of it and the implementation, because you see these examples continuously, and I was told, no change. And I'm saying, well, how are you going with the coaching and assessment of that? So I'm in alignment with you.
So we've just got to guess, I think, still.
Yeah, and where that threshold is. Can I just ask you about the 2 play-ons or
love this
play-ons?
one, yes.
So Luke Jackson first, shapes to hand pass. Is this play-on or not?
It is. And so Luke Jackson, when his step is forward of the mark, that's where he gets cooked. Your question's a really good one. If he'd retreated back from the mark and then took a step forward, that's not play on. You have to go ahead of the mark. So you see he stands up and he goes forward of the mark. That's play on. That's actually a particularly accurate and excellent call.
And then minutes later at Adelaide Oval, what about the Murray one?
And this one is an error from our umpire. So he plays on, he goes forward of the mark and lateral in an attempt to dispose of the football to his teammate. You play on from a mark, it's a prior opportunity. He's legally tackled. He fails to handball or kick. We need holding the ball paid there, not 50. Yeah. Beauty.
So he did play on here?
Yes, he plays on for sure and tries to handball inboard to his teammate. So play on is when you go off your line of kick or ahead of the mark.